A very good morning to Kenyan citizens. Welcome, and this is the Current Affairs segment, your trusted source for the latest news, insightful discussions, and impactful stories shaping our nation and beyond. I'm Angela Kabete, and together with Mr. Kimotho, we'll dive into the latest news and uncover the truth behind what has been happening that is in our country and beyond. So make sure that you stay tuned as we break it down right here, right now. A very good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing.
You're well?
Kabisa,
wiki inakupeleka aje?
Wiki si mbaya. Tunashukuru.
That's great. Salimia watazamaji.
Nataka kuwasalimia na kuwakaribisha kwenye show na kuambia tukae tu pale ili tuweze kuangalia ni yapi ambayo yako siku ya leo. Karibuni sana.
Yeah. But before anything else, it is always our norm to give you that is the verse of the day, an encouragement for you as our viewer, because we as Christians and as believers, we get strength and encouragement from the word of God. And today's verse comes from that is Psalms 25:4, and this is what it says: show me your ways, Lord, teach me your paths. So the verse of today is a prayer of surrender and a guidance. This is asking God. This is David, and you know David was a king, but unaona anasema bado, despite him being a king, so show me your ways, okay? And it reveals that God's ways si kama za mwanadamu, okay? Maarifa ya Mungu haifanani na yetu. The ways of God, the reasoning of God is beyond human, and that's why David anasema show me your ways, okay? That God and inasema that show me your ways, and this refers to the ways, refers to that is God's direction and how to live, how to speak, how to act, how to do things that pleases God, because our lifestyle as Christians and as believers, everything that we do in our daily lives really needs to please God. So akisema show me, it is a humble request admitting that I don't know it all. I'm just a human being. And teach me, it's a willingness to learn. It shows the aspect of willingness to learn. So it means that we as Christians, we need to have a heart that is willing to learn, to be corrected. And your ways, it means that is God character, wisdom, long-term plans, and not just answers. And then these are just the practical ways that we need to walk in God's way. So it means that we as Christians, that is me and you, this needs to be our daily prayer each and every day. Kwamba Mungu atuongoze, that Lord will lead us and help us know what is that one thing that pleases Him each and every day. And what's your take on this, Mr. Kimotho?
There is also the aspect of humbleness, because when you're willing now to learn, and also when you submit also yourself, then the other thing is that despite the position or where you hold, it's always good to be humble and also to seek advice, because ukiangalia now in reality that is the book of Psalms, yule ambaye aliandika hii alikuwa king. Ukiangalia wakati ambayo that is anaenda that is to that humbleness stage, na hadi anaomba Mungu teach me your ways, your paths. Inamaanisha kuna the journey ambao wametake pamoja. So it is the best thing and the best encouragement, because sometimes we do things in our own way, we supporting our relying on our experience or any other relevant issues, but the best thing is just to pray so that your ways and you commit your ways also unto God.
Yeah, and that is the verse of the day. Now, let's get over to what has been happening, because as we said, each and every day there are new stories, and it is our responsibility to making sure that you as a Kenyan citizen is stay updated of what is happening. But I can't forget to mention our sponsors. This show has been proudly brought to you by two sponsors, that is Astecom Limited. The offer that is super speed internet services in Nakuru County. So, everyone in Nakuru County, please worry no more about data bundles and the buy bundles in the 10 bulb. Okay, at the end of the day, you're spending a lot on buying bundles, but Astecom got you covered, and they offer it at affordable rates and low installation fees, and they also offer that is 24/7 customer support and easy mobile payments. For more information, please contact 0743910538. We also have another sponsor.
Yeah, we have another sponsor ambao anaitwa Nakuru Homeschooling Solution. na hawa wanadili na masuala ya education, na Nakuru Homeschooling Solution, that is one of education, that is kwa mtoto akiwa tu pale nyumbani, mnaenda mna agree, mnasikizana na wao, na pia the same time also kuna the choice of curriculum ambao wako nayo, the CBC and also the 844, kwa sababu bado the 844 bado inaendelea. Kuna the British that is a system, kuna accelerated that is a Christian education ambao pia wanaofa pale, na pia kuna that is a extra curriculum activities ambazo wako nazo, life skills including that is a tennis, golf, chess na yale mengine, na pia wako na that is wana support learners ambao wako na special needs. So you can contact them through their website, that is www.nakuruhomeschooling.com, na pia unaweza kuwafikia that is kwa 07296002 that is 575.
All right. And now let's talk about what has been happening. I have the Daily Nation with me.
I have the Standard newspaper.
And on today's Daily Nation, tutakuwa tuangalia matters to do with finances. Actually, it has covered almost, that is 80% of page 1 of the Daily Nation, the highlights. Tutaangalia matters to do with the education, and then be checking a little bit of politics. What about you?
Yeah, kuna masuala ya education ambayo naona amepewa kipaumbele hapa. Naona kuna masuala ya politics, masuala pia ya kula judiciary, na pia naona pia kwa treasury naona pia kuna some other information.
So let's start with the Daily Nation, that is page 1, matters to do with the education sector, specifically to angalia finances, that is HELB, and it reads, HELB funding strain as more learners qualify for varsity. And that is the transition from that is the 844 and the CBC to CBC has expanded, that is access to the higher education, and university admission numbers have steadily increased, and now HELB already struggles with, that is loan recovery and limited funding. And that's what ukiangalia hapa, it reads that HELB funding strain as more learners qualify for varsity, and dilemma following the release of the 2025 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exam results. The number of students eligible for university admission has risen to 270,715, up from 246,000 who qualified, that is in 2024. So there is a great increase. It means that there is more funding that is needed when it comes to, that is the HELB, because most students have qualified, that is for the university. And in addition to that, the Higher Education Loan Board estimates about 90% of these students will apply for loan, putting more pressure on a tight budget, even as the agency targets to recover, that is 6 billion this year. So and the fact that they're saying that the agency faces, that is a serious funding gap, threatening, that is full loan coverage, is going to bring a great impact, because many students may miss out, that is the opportunity to join, that is the university education, due to lack of funding, and paying increase, that is pressure on parents. That story is on page 7 of the Daily Nation, and we are there. Actually, it's the same case, and on page 7 it reads, education HELB boss Monari predicts tough times ahead unless more cash is allocated. So I believe this is something that the Ministry of Education, and also the matters to do with those who are who deals with matters to do with finances, allocation of finances, when it comes to the education sector, they really need to act, because we don't want students missing out opportunities to join, that is the university, because it led to more dropout. Ndio maana hata unaona kumekuwa na increased goons, that is in our country, because students are idle. And now this is going to renew a debate on university funding model, and also it's questioning the sustainability of, that is the CBC, and also possible reforms, that is in the HELB loan allocation and repayment policies. And nikiangalia hapa, that is page 7 of the Daily Nation, there are key figures that zimewekwa hapa, and I'm going to read them briefly. 58 billion, that is outstanding payment in private universities as of May last year. And then 5.2 6.2 billion. The total loans the Higher Education Board recovered last year, according to the agency CEO, with this year's target set as 6.2 billion. So they want to collect that is loan recovery of that is 6.2 billion to those students who have benefited from help, and then 23.1 billion among the government disbursed to public university in the year 2024-2025. So it means that there is more funding, because ukiangalia there is a great increase of students that is when you wanafaa kwenda university, and it means that ukiangalia from the statement that I've mentioned from that is the health boss Monari, he has predicted that there will be tough times ahead unless more cash is allocated. And you know, things are expensive out here. Parents walikuwa complain matters to do with finances, taxes and everything. So the government really need to act on this so that pressure isiangukie mwanafunzi, that is the parent son, to make sure that every student get access to that is the higher education in the university sector.
And especially now to the Ministry of Education, which is sasa according to the number ambao pia walimaliza form 4, pia kuna hiyo mpango ambayo wamekuwa nayo, and also the issue now also na mambo na university na the funding model inafaa pia iweze kuangaliwa sana, and inapia iweze kupatiwa kipaumbele. So in other news concerning now the Ministry of Education, kuna unajua na sasa kuna mambo ya grade 10, na nikiangalia hapa gazeti la Standard page 9 nasema how schools uses uniform to that is a rip off parents. Now the institutional forcing parents to buy items from specific outlets at exorbitant that is prices. Item could cost half the amount if parents were allowed that is the freedom of choice. So nikiangalia kwa gazeti that is la Standard inaongezea, kwa sababu saizi kuna haya masuala ambayo yako ya junior secondary, na pia the same time kuna haya masuala pia ambayo yako ya grade 10. Na ukiangalia nao kulingana na ile story ambayo imeandikwa hapa, kuna yale mashule ambayo wanakuambia that is you must go and seek specific items on a specific that is a place, sababu ya zile requirements zote ambazo zinatakikana pale. And pia the same time nikiangalia hapa kwa from the National Parents Association chairman that is Silas, ambaye anasema the uniform crisis is undermining access that is to education. We have complained about being that is directed where to buy uniform, because just outside the school prices are cheaper. That is now what he said. Parents interviewed that is paint a picture of that is a desperation, saying that they have been forced to sell livestock and even borrow from Shylocks and still fall that is a short of of meeting fees and other requirements that are needed. So ukiangalia haya kuna masuala fulani ambayo pia bado yanaendelea pale, because despite ya kusecure that is the position ambayo mzazi alikuwa anatafutia mtoto wake, unakuta the other that is a item that is a hike of prices according now to the story ambayo iko hapa. And pia the same time hii mambo that is some items unakuta unaambia lazima ununue pale shule, and yet some of these items unaweza zipata half the price that is kule nje. So according now to the analysis of Standard that is across that is several public secondary schools, show that the cost of uniform that is a range from 9,000 in the schools to more than 20,000 in boarding school. Na according now to the survey unakuta ya kwamba that is this ukipatikana pale that is wakati unaenda kutafuta pale nje inaweza kuwa a bit more cheaper. So nikiangalia hapa kuna one of the example ambao wanasema in one that is a national school in Kajiado, parents are required to buy 3 pairs of trousers at a total cost of 2,610, about that is 870 per trouser. So at Uhuru that is open market at Jogo Road, the same trouser retails at 500 to 600 each. So the same school requires 3 that is kuna other items ambazo ziko hapa. So this is just a comparison of the prices ambazo ziko pale that is pale shuleni, and what also can be the same item ambayo inaweza kuwa acquired to the other markets ambayo iko pale. So na pia at the same time pia unakuta kuna wale wanabiashara pia ambao huwa wanadili na uniforms ambao wako outside the school. Pia kuna ile outcry kwa sababu pia unakuta ya kwamba that is biashara pia ina reduce kwa sababu wakati some of these items specifically zinapatikana kule shule, unakuta pia kuna wanabiashara ambao pia walikuwa that is ile expectation unakuta ina reduce because sasa wazazi wote wamekuwa directed just to that is at one place. So there are so many other stories ambayo nikiangalia hapa pia nikiangalia another story pia in Kisumu, parents alleged that some teachers were selling uniforms within the school compound. So kuna haya maswala yote ambayo pia that is nini yanaendelea pale, and it is also high time that tukue na ile that is the regulation of that is of prices ama peer regulations of all these kind of activities, because unajua sasa inakuwa exorbitant kwa sababu especially kama maswala kama ambayo yanaendelea saa hizi, because unakuta sasa mzazi anatakikana alipe school fees yote, then at the same time unakuta nao kuna zile high prices of certain items ambazo pengine angeambio that is aweza kutafuta pale. So those are some of the things ambayo inaona gazeti ime highlight hapa. Na pia ujue pia kuna this week imekuwa sasa ni reporting grade 10 that is a students. So kuna ile that is haya maswala yanaendelea pale, wazazi wanafika bado pale, admission, kuna so many other requirements that are needed. All this also because unajua pia kuna a challenge ambayo iko na the new system, but kuna some of the things that also the ministry pia wanafaa pia waweze kuingilia ili at least maswala ya kwe a bit cheaper also to the parents.
Okay. In another stories that is not to do with the finances, now that is in our country, page 1 among the highlights that I had mentioned that you're going to check out, it reads Defense LSK president backs advocate fees as lawyers head to the polls that is next month, and states that 9 billion legal fees scam. You know, what really happens is the government employs state council under the Attorney General and the county legal departments, and despite these ministries, parastatals and parastatals, counties have repeatedly hired private law firms, sometimes even without proper approval, and that's what's being called, that is states 39 billion legal fees scams. And over years, concerns have grown that legal briefs are deliberately outsourced to favored law firms, inflating costs. And the court order has previously barred that is public institutions from hiring that is private lawyers unless absolutely necessary. And that's okay. A new audit and court findings revealed that 39 billion has been spent on legal fees, and 30 billion went to private law firms in the year 2023-2024 in the private law firms. And counties like Nairobi, Mombasa, Kiambu and Nakuru are among the biggest spenders. So where are we heading as a country, and why are they opting to use that is the private law firms? And in addition to that, I can see here there are big figures that have been highlighted here, and is only what counties or law firms. I'll just go through them briefly, but in addition to that, there is one key figure that is here, that is 30 billion amount counties are spent on legal representation according to the Control of Budget report, that is 2023-2024 financial year. You know, the impact of this is going to bring that is massive loss of public funds that could have gone to various sectors like health. You know, tumekuwa na issue sana na the Ministry of Health, education as well, because we're transition to the CBC, and from the state, from what I've read in the education sector, there is a great gap when it comes to that is the health sector, because wanafunzi ambao wanaenda university wameongezeka, na ukiangalia that is a statement from the leader, that is the hub, anasema there is a great gap. So these are the fundings zingeenda hapo, matters to do with the infrastructure, and also it's raising serious questions about corruption in our country, conflict of interest, and accountability. So despite them being warned from using that in private sector, they went ahead and used them. And then the Daily Nation has highlighted what counties or law firms: Nairobi, that is 21.3 billion, Machakos 1.5 billion, Kisumu 970 million, Nakuru 543 million, Tenerife for 98 million, Mandera for 47 million, Kajiado for 41 million, Murang'a for 12 million, Makueni 370 million, Turkana 367 million, Embu 327 million, Kwale 299 million, Kisii 279 million, Homa Bay 259 million, Bungoma 276 million, Uasin Gishu 223 million, Migori 212 million, Laikipia 207 million, Nandi 197 million, Nyeri 151 million, Kakamega 141 million, Nyandarua 161 million, Tharaka Nithi 139 million, Baringo 128 million, Kericho 119 million, Taita Taveta 113 million, West Pokot 107 million, Isiolo 98 million, Samburu 97 million, Trans Nzoia 93 million, Bomet 76 million, Marsabit 57 million, Nyamira 37 million, Meru 29 million, and Elgeyo Marakwet 20 million. Lastly, that is Lamu 6 million. So ukiangalia the biggest spenders zenye nimemention, that is Nairobi, Mombasa, Kiambu and Nakuru are among the biggest spenders. So weangalia, that is their county yenye uko wapi, and then they have violated, that is the national government expenditure, 4.9 billion, that is independent, what has been spent by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and then 243 million is what has been spent by Kenya Airport Authority, and then 142 million what has been spent by the Health Ministry to SHA to defend SHA cases, and now 8.5 billion amount spent by government to pay law firms, according to the Controller of Budget reports for the year 2023-2024 financial year. Yet still you're complaining that, you know, our country don't have money, Mr. Kimotho. With all these spendings, these are spent on private sector, not even the public sectors, yet being despite being warned that they should not use that is the private sector, still wanaendelea. You know, this is bringing the aspect here, public trust in governance, legal processes being eroded, that is in our country. So something should be done about it. Yeah.
You know, the issue is that we don't have enough regulations when it comes to spending. That's what on us most of the county governments wanaenda beyond the according now kulingana na the normal way ambayo inafaa. That's what kuna those challenges that are there when it comes now to the spending. So it means that kuna certain laws that needs now to be upheld, especially now it comes to the Senate na pia the Parliament. Wakae chini waweze kuangalia ni nini hiyo tunaweza fanya, because we have an issue with spending. We have a very good model of revenue, that is generating revenue, but when it comes now to spending, hapo ndio tuna issue kidogo. Yes. So
something should be done about it on how we spend, that is finances in our country, because honestly, if ukiangalia hizi pesa zote tumeangalia, the countries that have mentioned, Nakuru, Nairobi and Kiambu, the amount of money that they have spent on the private sectors, na ukiangalia the rate of development in their in these counties, it's there's a big gap, and there's a big difference. So I hope they'll do something about it. Another stories you have something?
So other stories, that is in our neighboring nation, that is Uganda. Wako na election ambayo itafanyika date 15, which is tomorrow, 2026. So Nijona si pia tuko hii mwaka tunajiprepare for election. So nikiangalia hapa nao pia yao imekaribia, because last year tuliona kulikuwa na Tanzania. Pia sasa this year that is a Uganda. And then sasa next year pia now it is our nation. Yes. And something interesting is that Uganda will be in a digital blackout for the entire election period, as its communication authority suspends communication networks across the country.
Jamani.
Yes, so in a letter dated 13th, the Uganda that is a communications commission that is directed the management of mobile networks operators and internet service providers to shut down internet starting that is from Tuesday 6 p.m. So hiyo ndio mambo ambayo inaendelea kule Uganda. So na pia that is wamesimamisha pia the sales and the registration of new SIM cards provisions. They are out of that is bound. Really interesting.
Is it that they want privacy? What is that thing that is making them to do this?
You see, Roger, it is very surprisingly because it is also the same thing ambayo ilifanyika that is kule Tanzania. Tuliona mambo yakiendelea kama hayo because sasa wanasema that is watazifungua zote hadi now the election period iweze kukamilika. Yeah, because the measures is necessary to mitigate the rapid spread of online misinformation. That is one, disinformation, electoral fraud and a related risk, as well as that is a preventing of that is a incitement of violence that could affect public confidence and national security during the election period. That is now according now to the executive director wa hiyo inchi.
Wow. Yes. That is really interesting. But anyway, it is their country.
Yeah, this is what is happening now to our neighbors. And it is always good now also to be able now to compare, you know, the constitution that we have, the constitution that our neighbors ambao wako nayo. And when now we are able now to identify what is happening to our neighboring nation, itaweza kutusaidia sana, especially of where we are. And also pia at the same time, tumekuwa tukiona kulikuwa na zile challenges ambazo zilikumbana na the activists ambao walikuwa wanaenda to those nations. Na unajua now wakati the moment umeingia to another nation, sasa wewe na sheria za kule sasa ni nyinyi mtaambatana nazo. Yeah, so it is always good also to understand what is happening now to our nation because na sisi pia tunaelekea we are nearly now going out also to the election next year. So huu mwaka tutakuwa ya mambo mengi ambayo yako pale. Na pia ndio pia wale the legislators ama pia wale viongozi wote ambao wataparticipate to this election waweze kuangalia kama hizi sheria kama sisi zinaweza fikia mahali kama hapo. Because unajua sasa wakati tuliona what happened to Tanzania, what happened now, what has happened now to Uganda, na pia unajua also to our nation. Kuna wakati kulikuwa na demonstration, tuliona kuna some of the media station waliweza kufungia yao. Pia at the same time kuna the former regime, kuna wakati pia kulikuwa na shutdown ya TV zote. So kuna haya masuala pia yanafaa yaangaliwe, ndio at the same time that is kusiwe kuna freedom of communication ambayo watu wanakuwa denied to, because tumekuwa tukiona other nations wamekuwa wakifanya the election na hatujaona the necessity ya wao kuweza kufunga haya mambo yote ambayo yako hapa, because sasa kama hapa wanasema that is kutakuwa na electoral fraud ambayo itakuwa pale. So the electoral fraud itakuwa identified aje kama the communication the means of communication ilikuwa shut down. So unaona hapo bado kutakuwa na challenge, na pia tao pia wanajicontradict because lazima pia kuwe na ile that is the observers, because kama kuna information wanataka kutuma ama haya maneno yote yatafanyika namna gani, hata kama wamesema to the public, but unajua pia kuna wale observers ambao huwa wanaenda pale, the observers ambao that is wametumwa na the Africa na so many other organization ambazo ziko pale. So kuna masuala kama hayo pia nafikiria yanafaa yaweze kuangaliwa ili na sisi tusijipate mahali kama pale, because unajua pia na sisi tunaelekea to the election. But that is what is happening now to the Ugandans na wakati wanajitayarisha now for their election that is tomorrow.
I'll say the good thing with us is we have a constitution.
Yeah.
And another story is much to do with the economy. That is page 1 of the Daily Nation. It reads that 2.4 billion are from sales of Safaricom shares to fund that is capital projects. And you know that is the government owes a significant stake in Safaricom through that is public shareholding. And Kenya has been struggling with budget deficits, high debt, and reduced tax revenues. And the Treasury have been exploring alternative ways to raise funds without heavy borrowing that is in our country. And that's who can get the current story. It reads that The Treasury plans to raise that is 2 or 4 billion by selling part of the government Safaricom shares, and the funds are intended to finance development projects and that is fiscal pressure that they're experiencing right now when it comes to the economy. And the move has sparkled debate over whether selling a profitable asset is really wise. But you know, this might bring a great impact, yeah, both positively and negatively, because it's going to be a short-term boost to the government cash flow. It's not something that will last for long, but yet don't forget that the government has been benefiting from being a shareholder that is in Safaricom positively, and then it may bring that is another impact. Itakuwa long-term risk of losing that is future dividends from one of Kenya's most profitable companies, and then pia kutakuwa that is potential effect on the stock market and investor confidence that is in our country. And also it raised that is matters to do with the public concern about selling national assets to plug budget gaps that we're experiencing in our country. And now the question is it that we don't have money in our country that to an extent we are willing to sell that is one of the biggest profitable assets that the government have in our country from Safaricom, so that we can finance development in our country? Yet every time that we do budgeting, Mr. Kimotho, kuna pesa zenye zinakuwa set aside. So I really don't know if this is something yenye deputation, this is a report that you have received. Let's see if they will really act on it, and that story is on page 8 of the Daily Nation. And the Daily Nation page 8, it reads that development funding. The Treasury has incorporated the National Infrastructure Fund as a limited liability company, alright, that is according to them, and state bets on Safaricom stake sale to finance infrastructure. And I really want to hear maoni yako ni yapi when it comes to this kama mwananchi. Please get to talk to us on 0799 200 100. I'm so glad to hear from you. And in addition to that, among the highlights, it reads that government will use telecom proceeds to build power projects, roads, and mega dams. So is it that the revenue, the taxes that they're raising is not enough? Because don't forget, the need to hit that is 12 trillion, 12 point something trillion approximately. Yet still we want to sell assets so that we can bring that is development in our country. And we can let the president himself has been working so hard to bring investors in our country, to bring partnerships in our country. Kwani zimegonga mwamba, you know, to an extent that you're going to sell that is one of the great assets that we have.
According also now to Standard newspaper, nikiangalia hapa nasema body states will retain key stakes in Safaricom. Treasury says that the government will retain 20% and 2 seats in the board. And also the same time unasema the sale will earn the government that is sum that is 204 billion that is in a gross that is proceeds ambazo ziko pale. At the same time unajua ni hii deal hao wenyewe ndio wanajua vile ambavyo inaendelea. But at the same time what Kenyans need is to see that whatever the resources ambayo imepatikana from any deal ambao wamepata, hizi resources kuna mahali zinaenda. Because unajua sana so many people they don't understand the issue ambayo inaendelea hapa ya the shares za Safaricom. Wengine wanasema kweli Safaricom inauzio sijui government, kweli Safaricom inauzio kina nani and everything else. So many other you know people hawajaelewa yale maneno maswala yanaendelea pale. But the best thing that they can do is to ensure that the dividends that ambayo that is the government itapata pale imeenda to certain projects ambazo pia zitakuwa na impact that is kwa watu, because the CS pia aliapia jana that is pale kwa National Assembly that is kwa ile committee ya finance that is aweze kuelezea vizuri kinagaubaga yale maneno maswala ambayo yanaendelea pale. Ukiangalia pia hapa the CS anasema Kenya will also receive a dividend advance of 40 billion in lieu to over 55 billion it could have received over the next, that is 6 years. So unaona sasa hii 55 billion ndio wange receive after that 6 years ambayo inakuja, but now after this sales ambayo itakuwa hapa watakuwa na receive that is the 40 billion. So ukiangalia the figures zinaonekana that is zikio so huge, so big, but at the same time kuna ile impact ambayo that is inatakikana pale. Na pia at the same time pia kuna wale Kenyans pia ambao walikuwa wamenunua shares kitambo, na pia kukakuwa na wengine kwa kuwa na other issues ambazo ziko pale. So it's something that needs to be resolved. Na tuliona that is akiweza kuelezea pale, at the end of the day ndio tuone that is kutakuwa na zile profits ambazo zitaweza kufikia that is our Kenya. Yes.
But you know, this might be a short-term boost based on the key events or what you've been experiencing in our country, or matters to do with accountability and the way we spend finances that is in our country is raising key questions, because even if they're given this money, tumekuwa tukipokea pesa za madeni, Mr. Kimotho, support from other countries, but yet we're still at the same place with the dream of becoming like Singapore.
That's what we are saying.
Yeah.
We need key that is regulations on how we do our spending, because our spending sasa hapo ndio kuna loophole ambayo imeachiliwa pale. We don't have a certain percentage that is from the national government, a certain percentage that is supposed now a certain percentage ambayo inafaida kwa development, kwa education, kwa health and all those factors ambazo ziko pale. So kukiweza kuwa na regulation ambayo iko sasa, tukijua tumepata 100 shillings, tunajua like 20 shillings itaenda kwa hii, 30 itaenda kwa hii, 10 itaenda kwa hii, 5 itaenda kwa hii, 2.something% itaenda kwa ile nyingine. Ni kitu ambayo inaweza kuwa that is ikiwa iko sawa, but sasa unapata kuna zile loopholes ambazo ziko pale. That's unaona even kuna some of the counties wako na low spending when it comes now to development, that is a project ambazo ziko pale. Then at the same time kama now this deal, the sales and everything else ambayo naona hapa wanasema 2 or 4 billion ambayo the government will earn. Pia kuna dividends ya 40 billion ambayo itapata out of this deal. So hii pesa yote ambayo itapatikana hapa ni vizuri ionekane ikifanya certain project ambazo ziko pale. Then at the same time pia unajua pia madeni ambayo tuko nao pia imeweza ku raise pale. So it is also something that needs to be done, and kuna arms of government that needs now to do these regulations, especially now it comes now to the national government. The National Assembly now should come out with ways, regulations ya spending, na pia it comes now to the county government, the Senate and also the MCS pia wanafaa kuja na ways and regulation of spending, na tukianzia hapo na those two arms inaweza tusaidia now to other state departments ambazo tuko nazo.
Kwanza MPs wanafaa na governors wanafaa wakewe, I don't know if you should call them measures when it comes to domestic spending, because tuliona that is last year most of the leaders spent a lot on domestic travel and tours travel, but kuna wengine the account is hata wameguza pesa za development. So something should be done about that. And as we wind up a little bit on politics, that is Ruto's, that is our president, Ruto's plan to regain support in Mount Kenya. So Mount Kenya is the big fish, Mr. Kimotho. I don't know which is the next place that is going to be the next fish. Because hapa naona that is there is a statement from our president, and alisema the truth is that I came with my former boss Uhuru Kenyatta, who used to send me here to represent him. So does it make him influential that is in Mount Kenya region, because he used to be sent by his former boss to represent him there? But anyway, this is what we are seeing that is on the Daily Nation, and our president is intensifying that is development tours and political engagements that is in Mount Kenya, and is focusing on matters to do with development. That I will not abandon you, so Mount Kenya will not be abandoned by the president. Matters to do with roads, agriculture, coffee reforms, and local appointments, and allies are being mobilized to counter that is growing dissent. And so this is unajua tunakaribia that is election, and this is going to shape the future of Kenyans voting. That is some of the blocks in our country, one of it being that is Mount Kenya region. That is, I guess, what I have on the Daily Nation to do with politics.
Yeah, also at the same time kwa gazeti la Standard niliona pia wameangazia haya masuala ya Mount Kenya. That is page 4 and also page 5. But it's very interesting because tuliona wakati when they were campaigning, especially now the president na pia na the former deputy president, that is Rigathi Gachagua, they were so much against that is the former president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
I agree, it's true.
There were so many things that they said about him and their family na mambo yale mengine. But kumekuwa na turnaround ambayo imekuwa pale. Sasa imefika mahali wakitaka sasa kwenda kwa hiyo ground, sasa wanatumia jina yake. Because we saw also the former deputy president, that is after impeachment, kuna vile ambavyo alijaribu, but tumekuwa tukiona Fred pia naye amekuwa akitumia that is jina ya Mheshimiwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta kwenda kule hadi to the grassroots level. At the same time pia tumeona pia naye now our president pia naye akienda pale anakumbusha watu wa kwamba wakati nilikuwa nakuja hapa nilikuwa natumwa na my boss ambaye ni Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So it shows you hapo politically kuna kitu ambayo wanajaribu kufanya kutumia jina ya nani yake. So it means that wale ambao ni wafuasi wa siasa wanafaa wa grasp something from there.
Wajitegemee, because if the former president is still influential, even if it's not, even if he's not in leadership, probably they should check out, you know, the old age philosophy says that if you want to win the heart of people, make sure you bring the art of that is servanthood leadership. Probably that is one thing that he brought that they should emulate. So
tuki wind up pia kwa watu wa sports bado kuna the semi-finals ambazo zitakuwa zinachuana leo kwa the Africa Cup of Nation. Tuko na Senegal versus Egypt ambayo itakuwa saa 2, na pia tuko na Morocco that is versus Nigeria ambayo itakuwa ni 11 p.m.
And that is what we had to check out today on what has been happening that is in our country. And can't forget to mention that is our sponsors. This show is proudly brought to you by that is Asacom Limited. They offer that is super speed internet services in Nakuru County at affordable rates and low installation fees. They also offer that is 24/7 customer support and easy mobile payments. For more information, please contact 0743 538. We also have a second sponsor.
Ambao wanajiita Nakuru Homeschooling Solution. Give your child a world class education right from the comfort of your home. Na wanafunza kulingana na curriculum ambao ziko pale CBC 844 British system. Na pia at the same time tunaona hapa kuna ile flexibility ambao wako nayo, na pia kuna qualified that is a professional teachers, na pia wanafunza watoto ambao pia wako na special needs ambao ziko pale. Unaweza wafikia that is through their website that is www.nakuruhomeschooling.com, na pia kwa namba ya simu that is 0729602575, na masuala ya mtoto wako yatakuwa yako sawa when it comes to education. So thank you so much for tuning in for this segment. That is the current affairs segment. You're always here every morning to making sure that you stay updated of what is happening that is in our country and beyond. Till next time, may God bless you abundantly. Bye bye.